Hey everybody, welcome back to the Art of Relationship show. Going to be talking about how important is touching to you, okay? Is it, some people it's not important. A lot of people it is important. I'm going to look at not only how important is touching to you in your relationship or marriage, what type of touch do you enjoy? And I'm going to have a little twist coming up, so don't go anywhere, people. Going to be talking about this aspect and a bunch more on the Art of Relationship show right after the intro. Don't go anywhere. Hey everybody, huge welcome again to the Art of Relationship show. I'm your host, Greg Dudzinski. I'm a fully licensed professional counselor, relationship and sex specialist, have been for over 23 years now. And a lot of grief, a lot of trauma experience too. Yes, I used to work with kids, teens, many years ago for a long time. Sexual abuse, the horrific nightmare stories you hear about, okay? I no longer work with kids, but anyways, I'm not bragging, just telling you my experience and everything too. As always, you can throw your questions down in the chat and I'll read them, and you can be anonymous, unless you give me permission to use your name. I want to respect your privacy and everything too. I can't guarantee it, of course, in this format. I can't guarantee your, privacy and being anonymous as well, but I won't read your name if you ask me a question unless you give me that permission. So join your questions down below, people, and I'll do the best I can to answer them. And I appreciate everybody tuning in. So you can share this live on your page, on your timeline. I want to try to get as many people involved as possible. And of course, my passion is trying to help as many people out there have a loving, healthy, whatever that means to you, relationship or marriage, with a twist of sense of self-love and self-respect, which is always crucial, right, people? So I want people, I appreciate you listening and tuning in, people. So touch. I hear this, I ask people all the time what intimacy looks like for you. And a lot of people assume, which I'm talking about today, is about touch, right? They assume automatically intimacy, they view it as sex or touch. It doesn't have to be sexual, but it has, what does intimacy involve? And a lot of people, they will talk about touch. And I ask people all the time, what type of touch? What does it look like? And they'll look at that in my office, where I'm at now. Greg, you're a moron. What do you mean you don't know what type of touch? I know what I like. Excuse me. I want to know what you like specifically. Not necessarily me, but your partner. You have to know what each other likes, what type of touch, when. All this aspect. And let's be honest, how many women out there will say the only time he touches me when he wants booty, when he wants sex, right? When he's horny, that type of situation. And not only that, every time he touches me, he gropes me, right? He goes for, my pelvic region. He goes for my chest. He goes for whatever. And it's never in a loving way. And this is where I tell people, does the guy, number one, even have a clue? I'm bashing us men, right? So, does he even have a clue of what's going on, okay? Vega, William, Barbara, I appreciate you. Mimi, woohoo, thanks for tuning in big time, okay? I appreciate you. I'm very flattered. So, throw your questions out there. Anything I can do to answer them. It doesn't have to do with today's subject or topic. It can be anything to do with love, relationships, marriage, dating, intimacy. You name it, throw them out there, and I'll do the best I can to answer them. And as always, though, this does not replace actual professional counseling I do because no consent forms. I can't guarantee privacy, HIPAA guidelines, but I'll do the best I can to answer your questions, okay? So, going back to touch, right? I hear a lot of women all the time, hey, G, hey, Greg, you know what? The only time he touches me when da-da-da-da-da. First, we have to look at what type of touch do you want? And this goes for men and women. I know I just mentioned women and bashing us men, but is there, do you like holding hands? I want you to be specific. I want to get rid of assuming, okay? With any type of, relationship counseling, marriage counseling I want to get rid of assumptions and specific because just like I mentioned at the beginning, right? Touch. And your person's thinking this type of touch, you're thinking this type of touch, right? And both of you are right, but it's not what each other needs. So I want to get rid of that right and wrong. It's just different. And I want you to teach each other what type of touch do you want in the certain moment or situation you're in. Sometimes you want it more, just grab me, rip my clothes off type of touch. Other times you want more loving, more comfort, right? If you think about it this way, say you just lost a loved one and, your partner, hopefully they know, right? They'll give you a hug. Come here, babe, come here. And they'll crush you and comfort. And maybe that's the type of hug and touch you would like more often. Because most times, you lose a loved one, your partner better not, let's be real, start groping you in a sexual manner, right? Inappropriate, disrespectful. It's not what you want in that moment. Well, most people, okay? So that's where I want people to understand, are you able, come here, just hold me, caress me, I want to cuddle. And, just the other day I had a couple, Greg, every time he says he wants to cuddle, I know what he's thinking, little something, something, right? Instead of, man, I just want to cuddle. And it doesn't have to be in a sexual way, a sexual realm, okay? So that's why I want people to be able to understand and look at, are you able to teach each other? And I want people, of course, to be able to read each other, what works all the time, right? And once you get to know each other, you can maybe pick up each other's vibes, innuendos, if you will, if it's more out of comfort, out of connection in a non-sexual way versus a sexual way. Or you can even talk about it. Hey, you know what? I'm sort of tired tonight, but I'd love to hold hands. I'd love to just sit there and cuddle with you. And also, what type of comfort touch do you want? Some people want caress. Some people want to be caressed with their fingertips. Some people like a little, nail, little teasing, little maybe ticklish sensation, even out of comfort. And my lady does not like nails at all. I cut them, whatever. And I keep, I'm honest, I'm human, right? Where I also have to look at, no nails, my nails, so bad, right? It's one of those things about teaching each other how you want to be touched, okay? So, hey, Bree, what's happening? Hey, Gloria, thanks. Woohoo, Ronald, thanks so much for tuning in. And as always, hey, Saddam, what's happening, man? So I appreciate you tuning in. So, throw your questions down there below and let me know what type of touch do you like in certain situations, right? There might be a touch where you're more in the mood and, more intimate, more horny, or your desires at a higher level and you're like, pull my hair. Well, I have no hair. I can't say that, right? So, but, ladies might like their hair pulled. Maybe guys do too, certain ones. Everybody's different. But the more you can express this, the more you can get it right and get your needs met in the way you want to be touched, okay? So, be more descriptive, okay? Be more specific in how you want to be touched. You know what? You could be watching a TV show, watching movies, and you could, your partner starts groping you and you don't want that. Or, hey, you know what? Some people just sit next to each other, but they're not touching. Hey, I'd love it if you caress my leg. I'd love it if you caress my arm. And it sounds corny to be able to ask that way, because a lot of people, I shouldn't have to ask, he should just know or she should just know. Not always, okay? So that's where I want people to understand and be more descriptive. And don't be ashamed of that. Don't be embarrassed of those type of situations, okay? I want you to be more, more open, and that way you can have your needs met. And, hey, please, hey, touch me right here, caress me, that type of thing, right? Or some people walking down the street hold hands. Some people don't like holding hands. Some people want to walk, hey, come here, give me your arm, and they go arm in arm, that type of situation. Some people want to be touched even when you're walking with their arms around each other. Every couple's different. Every individual is different. But how do you know how your partner wants to be touched in certain situations? Also, how do you want to be touched? And are you able to talk about it and express it so you get it right? I mentioned earlier, I'm not about right and wrong, but when I say about getting it right, about what works for you, and you can have your needs met, right? Some people love a massage, right? Some people, a massage is just so soft, and it's not, maybe in most people's definition, not a massage, but it is to them. Oh, come here, I want you to, rub my neck. I got a kink in my neck. And some people, oh my God, you're gonna knock my head off. That's too hard. And some things are too soft. So touch is crucial. And there's been so many studies throughout history on the importance of touch. There's been studies with chimpanzees, apes, as you know, about the soothing element of touch, that it can bring comfort. It can bring connection. It can bring, a loving, deeper sense of, togetherness, if you will, in that situation. So please tell me, I'd love to hear, how do you want to be touched when maybe, some people are sick. They want to be petted. They want their head rubbed. Some people don't want to be touched. Some people, I'm not feeling well. Don't touch me at all. And it's not a right or wrong. It's teaching each other. So I'd love to hear your comments, or see your comments, not hear them, but see them down below, people. How do you want to be touched when you want comfort? Maybe you're in a sad mood, more, sad, a grieving state. How do you want to be touched in those situations? And also more when you're more frisky, when you're more horny, how do you want it? Some people, I hear people all the time, oh, you know what? I remember 10 years ago, you used to, come by every time you walked by me, you grabbed my butt. You spanked my butt a little bit. I miss that, right? Where other people are looking at, that's all you do is touch my butt or slap my butt, right? You don't ever hold me in a loving way. So let me ask you, and I want to see your comments, please. How do you want to be touched in a loving way, a soothing way, more comforting way than maybe sexual, more randy, more horny, if you will? And also we'll get into, I want to know how you want to be touched. And when you're more in a frisky way, when you're more in a love-making mood type of, your desire is peaking, right? I don't care, just rip my clothes off, right? Type of thing, right? Bite me, dig your nails into me. Everybody is different in certain situations. I get that. And that's why I'm talking about not only the importance of touch in relationships and marriage, even when you look at the importance, everybody looks at the importance of touch when you have a child, a newborn, a toddler, right? You hold them. They want to hug. They want to feel comfort. They want to feel close to you. And then as we old, we tend to get away from that. And it might be because, I'm not a kid anymore. I truly believe it's a human element to enjoy touch, to feel soothed in that way. And again, like I'm talking about now, we tend to, there's difference between comfort and soothing versus, sexual means, right? And some people might, grab my boob, grab my butt when you're frisky, when you're in that, more horny mood, if you will. Hey, Jenny, what's happening? Medea, what's happening? Brad, I appreciate you tuning in. So let me know, again, please, people, how you want to be touched when you're in a sad mood, when you're maybe in a depressed state, a grieving state. You know what? Maybe when you're sick too. How do you want to be touched? Because if you don't know how you want to be touched in that moment, how are you going to teach that person, right? And there's also different ways. And, I try not to complicate things, but relationships can be complicated, right? There's a difference even when you are in a desire, horny mood, right? Some people want their hair pulled. They want to be spanked. Other people want to make love and be more sensual, even with foreplay. What does that look like when you touch? Also, not only touching with your hands, can you touch with your mouth, with your lips? You get me? So there are certain ways and situations. Some people want to be touched only when they're grieving, not feeling well. Also, they might want a kiss on the forehead, a kiss on the head, a kiss on the cheek, a kiss on the hand. Kissing is also a form of touching, which a lot of people don't ever recognize, if you will, right? They only look at touch with hands. But you can touch, right? What about playing footsies, right? When was the last time, you played footsies under the table at a restaurant, right? I don't want your, feet to stink or anything like that. People are eating. I don't want your feet to stink and you're playing footsies. Take your shoes off under the table, right? That's gross. But in a sense, right, that is a form of touch as well. That even playing footsies, right? Even tickling could be a form of touch. So we don't only, have to use our hands. We can use maybe our feet. How many people get your feet off me, or you're tickling each other with your feet, right? Sort of having fun and being playful that way as well. And part of touch, like I said, it can be for grieving, for sensuality, for comfort, for soothing, like you would a crying baby, right? Oh, that's okay. Here, I got you, right? It can be that way, and we lose it as we age. But also touch can be to have fun. It can be tickle fight. It can be a little playfulness, right? Little pat on the booty, right? That type of situation. It can be for more teasing, right? Like a touch, a fingertip up here, and they give you chills in a good way, right? Not in a bad, creepy way. I don't want that as all. But as I trip over my tongue, sorry, people. But, when you look at what ways do you want to be touched in certain situations and environments, okay? Of course, when you're in a public place, some people don't like, PDA. They don't want to hold hands. They don't want to hug. I don't like that. You know who I am in public. In those situations are looking at that, some person is not that way, and the other person thinks, oh, you're ashamed of me, you don't love me, you don't want to be seen with me, you don't want to have other people think we're together. No, not at all. I got this thing about myself, public displays of affection. And I'm not talking, ripping each other's clothes off, make out sessions in front of everybody. But it could be, if you're okay with that. But it's also looking at, holding hands, walking hand in hand, shopping together, going for a walk together. Like I said earlier, some people love that. They need that. I like that. Or they're arm in arm together. They have each other's arms wrapped around each other's back. You get me? So everybody's different. And you look at different ways of touching. It's not just intimate. It's not just sexual. It could be soothing. It could be fun. And it also could be sexual in nature, of course, right? It can be more intimate aspects, right? But like I said earlier, even, there's times where you're, just want to, rip each other's clothes off, pull each other's hair, spank each other. Other times, hey, Danelle, what's happening? I appreciate you tuning in, man. Other times it's more sensual, more soothing, more caressing touch, more lovemaking than, screwing each other, that type of situation. And that's where I want you to understand and be able to teach each other. Oh, I'm not in the mood for that tonight. Please just caress me. I want, what type of foreplay do you want when it's lovemaking, or, you ripping each other's clothes off, or it's a quickie type of situation. And a lot of people, I get it. It sounds like, oh my gosh, it's so complicated. It's not complicated if you kick up the communication. And I talked about, communicating and how you communicate and what works for you. Look up that video on YouTube, about communicating, and you can check that out. I talked about that last week on the Art of Relationships show, okay? So that's where I want people to understand and look at and, sort of assess and learn about yourself and how you want to be touched in certain situations, right? And, some people love it when their partner rubs their feet up and down their leg, right? Or just touching feet. So touching is huge for a lot of people. And this is where I want you to find out, hey, how do I want to be touched when I'm sad, when I'm not feeling good? Oh my God, when I'm horny, how do I want to be touched? And not only that, you could be horny in a loving way, sensual way, which is different than more in an animalistic, rip your clothes off way, right? More passionate, more woohoo, that type of situation. But it's being able to communicate that and not be embarrassed, not be ashamed, but also not assuming that your partner, right, knows. Some people like it rough. Oh, hell yeah. Some people like it rough all the time. And there's a difference of rough, right? Being touched or making love rough. And that goes from different extremes to S&M, B&D to, some people want it just a little faster than normal. And that's rough to them. And again, it's ironic because it's subjective. And the biggest thing is teaching each other, communicating each other. And it's not always the same. We're not always in the same mood. We're not always in, how we read each other, what is important. You know what? Just hold me. You know what? Just hold me. Versus, more ticklish, right? Some people assume their partner's in a sad mood, a bad mood, so they can't handle it themselves. So I can't handle my partner being in a bad mood. I can't handle her or him being sad. So I can't handle it. So because I can't handle it, I'm trying to tickle him or her to get him to laugh and be in a good mood. And it just pisses them off. It upsets them, right? And they view that as being disrespectful. Why are you doing that? I'm not in the mood for that. Well, I'm trying to get you in a good mood. Is that more about you? Or is that more about your partner? And that's all part of communication and reading each other and understanding each other's moods and learning about that, okay? This is not a right or wrong, that type of situation. It's being able to look at, hey, you know what? Hey, touch me this way. Hey, you know what? That might be a little softer. That's okay. It's about teaching each other in the moment about what you like and expressing that. And it's not a right or wrong, people. It is more of a situation of what you're looking for in that particular situation. Communication is the key to relationships, a good relationship. Absolutely. I mean, it's crucial in any relationship, marriage, parent-child experience. And like Danelle, I talked about that last week. Like I said, you can find that video on YouTube. It should be in line, under the newest live Art of Relationship shows, I think, on YouTube's the easiest. At LoveGuruGreg, you can check that out. But a lot of people, they assume a situation, and not only, communicating, how you communicate, and I talked about that, and there's a difference. Oh, you don't know what you're doing. Why are you touching me like that? Communication, right? Versus, oh, I'd like you to touch me like this. Hey, touch me softer. You don't know what you're doing. Big difference, right? Belittling how you communicate, and I ran over this, like I said, last week, but also asking for your partner, hey, can you touch me softer? Please, softer. Please, firmer. Grab my ass, right? Everybody's different, right? Squeeze my boobs, squeeze my ass. Everybody's different depending on our mood, but can you talk about it? And that's part of, like Donnell mentioned, excuse me, part of a good relationship, a great relationship, is being able to communicate without bashing, belittling, and your partner is asking versus demanding, dictating, belittling, degrading, those type of situations. And how you touch in a certain situation or event, it's the same. Doesn't matter, okay? What other questions? Yeah, I appreciate the comments, people. I appreciate the questions. So I want people to be able to look at, Dominique, what's happening? Appreciate you tuning in too. So, when it comes to those situations, don't assume your partner knows, okay? Hey, Kelly, what's happening? So a lot of people will look at, my partner should know. We've been together 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. My partner should know how to touch. And it's ironic. I ask couples, usually, new couples on the first session, and I bring it up now and then, if, they come back second, third session, whatever, I'll ask, how's the touching going? And I ask, how did you used to touch each other? How did you like to be touched when you first started dating, when you first got married, lived together, whatever? Again, this is not a right or wrong or bashing, not at all. I want people to look back at how they used to touch and what got in the way with it. And honestly, I hear men all the time, and it's hard, right? Oh, my wife, my girlfriend used to be affectionate until we had kids. And this is very difficult. I tell people, listening to the show, clients, I'm a realist. I get that when you have a child, a kid, and it's, it might be, ma, all climbing all over you, and you get so hypersensitive or, oh my God, I don't want to be touched at all. And then your boyfriend, husband doesn't feel important. They don't feel desired. It's that, I get that, but there's a difference between being touched by ma, dad. Oh my God, I get so oversensitized to touch and just want to be left alone. That's part of being human. And there's a different touch between a needy touch, maybe of a child, versus that of a partner, a lover, a husband, a wife, a boyfriend, girlfriend. You get me? And that's where part of touching also, usually with a child, let's be real, it's about taking from you, and not in a selfish way. It's a child, right? And, it's about you giving, about you soothing, about you, and it's not all about touching in a way, in a benefit that, brings that benefit, to you as mothers, as, fathers too. We can all get, a little oversensitized to touch when it comes to kids, newborns, early toddlers, that type of situation. And it's all, it's, oh my God, touch me, pick me up, over here. They're hanging on your legs, right? And I get that. And I tell people, is there a way that you can look at that and look at that differently between now, can you be touched in a way that brings comfort, that you can receive touch, and it's not someone like a young child taking all the time, or maybe your partner is in a situation where, they're taking all the time. Like I said earlier, a difference between, groping you sexually, grabbing your boobs, grabbing your chest, grabbing you whatever, your booty, versus in a loving way, in a caring way, in a more giving way, where you feel like it's not always someone taking from you. Because if it always feels like someone taking from you, right, you're going to view them as selfish. It's all about them. Just like sex, same thing, right? Sex should be pleasurable for both people. It should be giving for both people, not always taking. You get me? It should be receiving as well. And touch is no different. This is where I want people to understand not only the importance of touch, what type of touch, but understanding your partner. Oh my, I get it. You know, kids hanging all over mom all day long. Kids were hanging over dad all day long, you know, and some people, you know, they work different shifts because of kids. One works afternoons, one works maybe nights, one works mornings. And, you know, they get so, kids are hanging all over me. I can't wait to get out the door. And it doesn't mean you're a bad parent, uncaring. It's part of, I need to breathe a little bit. So, and it's hard to look at, you know, what type of touch do you want to receive? What type of touch do you view as giving versus being taken from you? So there's so much about relationships and, you know, sexuality and touching and soothing and comfort, providing those things. A lot of people don't even understand, they don't get. And I could get on a soapbox about so-called coaches out there that they don't have the training, they don't have an understanding or a clue, all the dynamics involved in this. I'm not bashing, I'm not, you know, get those type of situations. So, again, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Hit me up. What questions? And going back to, you know, how do you want to be touched? Maybe in a sexual way, you know, in a loving way, more in a, you know, oh my God, I want him to just devour me, rip my clothes off, or I want her to devour me in a, you know, animalistic way. And there's a lot of times also with men that I hear a lot of complaints. Let's be honest, okay? I'm the one that's initiating, Greg. I'm the one that's always trying to give her a hug or give her a kiss. She never initiates. So this is another aspect that people can look at. Do you initiate touch? Do you initiate, and again, in a non-sexual way, are you the one that will also, it's mutual, that you initiate a kiss, a hug, a touch, maybe a pat on the butt, the booty, right? Or are you the one that always needs your partner to touch you first? Something to think about. And your partner's looking at, man, do I feel if I didn't touch, hug, kiss, you know, grab her hand, grab his hand. Again, it might not be a gender thing, but I hear this a lot from men, that if I didn't try to give her a hug, I'd never get a hug, Greg. If I didn't go to give her a kiss, I wouldn't get a kiss. It would never happen. So this is all where I look at people that you can, you know, kick up that aspect and even talk about this. How do you want to be touched? Would you like me to initiate touch more? What type of touch? A kiss, holding hands. Even some people just want to be close and you put your hand on their, you know, the small of their back, their lower back region, or even on a shoulder. Hey, babe, you doing okay? As one person is cooking, doing the dishes, that type of situation. And one person goes to lay their, you know, hand on their shoulder. Hey, babe, you okay? Oh, my God, why are you touching me? And all of a sudden you start feeling rejected. You start feeling like they don't want to be touched. You get me? And there's a lot of assumptions that go on, and I'm going to tell you a story that I've ran into with a couple that was, oh boy, years ago, okay? All surrounding touch and assumptions. And the couple, they were together 27, 28 years. Both of them were on their second marriage. They were together 27, 28 years. And one couple, or she would be talking on Skype or whatever back then. Maybe Zoom was out then too. Talking to grandkids on that in another state. He would come up and try to touch her and just put his hands on her, you know, out of comfort, out of care. And she got freaked out, got scared. He tried it twice and got scared. And so he starts thinking, oh, she don't want me to touch her. Start assuming this. Never asked, never brought this up. So he stopped touching her. She starts thinking, he doesn't want to touch me anymore. So she stopped touching him. You get me? This went on for 5 years. This just gives me chills because it's sad. Based on assumptions about touch. They're assuming without talking about it. This went on for 5 years before they saw me. And then this come out and got to the root of what they were feeling, what they were thinking. And it's sad. And they're thinking one thing, but they never talk about it because they're assuming their partner don't want to touch them, don't love them, don't want to be near them, and they were totally wrong. And this went on for 5 years. It was a quick couple session fix, you know, the sadness, and they loved each other. And they were in their, oh boy, I think late 60s at the time. And, you know, it's a lot of time to waste. So a lot of people, I get it, they're afraid to bring up stuff because if you say, oh, you stopped touching me so you don't love me anymore, but you don't ask because you're afraid, what if that is accurate? What if they don't want to touch you? Now what do? So you just, you know, you live with it. You don't bring it up. That's where I want people to be able to talk about the tough stuff or even say, hey, you know what? We don't touch like we used to when we first started dating, when we first got married. We're all over each other. I hear it all the time. What happened to that? Kids, desensitization. We take each other for granted. But I want you to be more intentional with being able to touch more, being able to touch in all these aspects, right? Comfort, in a comfort way, in a soothing way, in a sensual way, and, sensual does not always have to be sexual. It can be, not always, but also in a sexual way, how you want to be touched. But not only that, in a sexual way, how do you want to be touched in certain moods and certain, like I said, animalistic, rip your clothes off moments versus more loving, caring, eye-to-eye contact, more soothing. How do you know if you don't ask? You can start reading each other's bodies, right? Body language, facial expressions. Some people are a lot better at it than others. But if you don't, that's okay. Teach each other in that moment. Hey, I need a hug. And that's what I talk about all the time. Hey, you know, there's a difference between groping hug, right? Where a lot of women would feel disrespected. That's all you touch me is groping me. You don't touch me in a loving way. And this is where I want you to teach each other, what does a loving way mean? I'm touching you in a loving way. And it's groping, right? And again, you have different examples. You have different expectations, perceptions, right? And it's not necessarily a wrong way. Now we're looking at what actually works for people in the way you want to be touched in that particular moment, in that particular mood. Talk about it. Even write down. That's what I'd love you to both write down. How do you want to be touched in certain moments? When you're, you know, not feeling well, when you're sick, when you're ill, maybe not touched at all. When you're soothing, you know, want to be soothed. When you want to be comfort. When you had a bad day. When you're grieving. How do you want to be touched? When you are playful, joking around, how do you want to be touched in a playful way? You get me? Tickle fight, whatever. Maybe, you know, maybe more slapping on the booty, those type of situations. And how do you want to be touched sexually? And more in a horny, animalistic way, and more in a loving, love-making, soothing, sensual way. And that's where I want people to be able to understand and learn and express to each other. And you're going to see how much healing touch can provide in a relationship. And a lot of times, couples will become distant because touching has stopped. Holding each other, giving each other a hug, a kiss, they stop. Because we're not paying attention, right? Life happens. I get it. It's not a bashing, you know, or, oh, she don't initiate touch anymore, so I'm not going to initiate touch at all. Or he's not initiating touch, doesn't hold me anymore, so why am I holding him? It's all a tit for tat, a competition, a battle, instead of saying, hey, what happened? You stopped touching me lately. What's going on? Man, I miss you touching me. Oh, my bad, I'm sorry. Or, hey, you know what, I got tired of, me always initiating instead of you touching me once in a while, initiating touch. And the other partner has no idea. Just like the elder couple I talked about for 5 years. Sad, right? I don't want you to have assumptions. I want you to be able to talk about it. And if there's something coming up, bam, you're able to deal with it right now so it doesn't last 5 years. Okay? So check out my website. That is down below, theartofrelationships.org. Please follow me all over at LoveGuruGreg. I appreciate it. And I do still have each self-help course, a lot of content, a lot of videos, content, that type of situation, okay? So that's where, check them out on my website, The Art of Relationships. You can use the code LOVE, L-O-V-E, in all caps, to get $20 off. I think it's $20 or $27 off. Each course is only $27. There's a lot of content in each course. Healing after an affair, which I deal with. That's mostly what I specialize in. Reigniting your relationship. And I have a premarital course too. And it's very in-depth, a lot of questions, a lot more than typical parochial church premarital courses get into, okay? So check them out. Again, thank you so much. Woo! I'm humbled that you spent your time watching the show. Like I said, the easiest way to catch every previous episode of the Art of Relationships show, probably YouTube at LoveGuruGreg, and all over social media. You can follow me as well. Look me up at LoveGuruGreg, and I definitely appreciate your time. Peace and love, people. Let's get rid of hate in this world. And I know it's hard to do with what's going on. Peace and love. Everybody take care, okay?